Balake. Where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Ron.
Ron is present. Thanks for joining me, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Guys, we're going full Inception mode today. I'm doing a video about a blog post that Mike Rinder did about a video that I did. Full Inception. That's how we roll. So this is a really great post that Mike did this morning, and it announces 6 additional Scientology orgs that have closed their doors. Now, it's not like these orgs closed down just in the last week or in the last month or possibly even in the last year, but it is the first time that I'm seeing it called out, having attention called to it publicly, and I think it deserves having a lot more attention called to it publicly. Honestly, in hopes that a lot of the Scientologists who are still stuck inside the bubble start opening their eyes and realizing they're being deceived. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your money. You're throwing away family members for no reason. Okay, let's check out what Mike Rinder reported here. The Scientology Celebrity Center network is rapidly disappearing. Aaron Smith-Levin did a video about the recent closure of the Celebrity Center Munich and the abandoned St. Pete Life Improvement Center opened by the Tampa Ideal Org. So this is a video I did yesterday about, well, as Mike is saying, the Celebrity Center in Munich, Germany, having just recently closed down in the last couple of weeks. Also a term here, Ideal Org. David Miscavige is running a real estate strategy in Scientology right now, where every Scientology organization it needs to buy and renovate a brand new 50,000 plus square foot facility. When the organization succeeds in raising all the money, buying the building, fundraising for the renovations, finishing the renovations, and doing a grand opening for the building, they call those ideal organizations or ideal orgs. Okay, as every good Scientologist knows, it is a high crime in Scientology to close or combine orgs. Now, when Mike says combine orgs, this is what he means. Scientology orgs, many Scientology orgs have essentially a day shift and a night shift. And L. Ron Hubbard called the day shift the day org, and the nights and weekends shift he called the foundation org. I don't actually know why he used that term foundation. Even after all the time I spent in Scientology, I still could not tell you. But it's called the day org and the foundation org. And they're not just 2 shifts. They're 2 completely different organizations. And in the world of Scientology, let's just say we're talking about the Austin org. These orgs would be called Austin Day and Austin Foundation. Now, it is incredibly inefficient and stupid to have these 2 separate organizations operating as 2 completely different organizations with 2 completely different stats operating out of one premises. And yet L. Ron Hubbard came up with some reasons why he thought this was very, very important. And he made it a crime in Scientology to combine them. So, for example, the org where I was on staff at in Philadelphia didn't have a Dan Foundation org. It was just one org. Philly, if you were a staff member, you were Philly staff. There's no such thing as Philly Day or Philly Foundation. But in orgs that for some reason had already been separated into Day and Foundation, L. Ron Hubbard said it was a crime to combine them. So that's what Mike's talking about here. Okay, so as every good Scientologist knows, it is a high crime in Scientology to close or combine orgs. Now, Mike is now showing you the exact L. Ron Hubbard policy letter that covers this subject. Org reduction or eradication. It is an act of treason to reduce, combine, or close an org. Hubbard goes on, he says, we in Scientology are the only ones who have ever been able to reduce or close an org. The enemy has never, in actual fact, done so. There are several ways an org can be collapsed or closed. While these get a lesser condition, they are important. Okay, so when he says lesser condition, that's a throwback to the first sentence where he says an act of treason, capital T. Scientology has a system of ethics and justice and penalties and punishment that includes something called the lower ethics conditions. We're not going to get into all of those right now, but treason is one of the lower ethics conditions. So when he says an act of treason, he means it will get you assigned the condition of treason. And then he jumps to the bottom and he says, of these offenses, simply ordering an org closed or to combine Day and Foundation or to drop its status lower are directly treasonable acts. As a little work and better planning and attention to policy and service has always been able to lift up stats. This is about as black and white as L. Ron Hubbard policy can possibly get in the world of Scientology. Anyhow, Mike continues on here. Since David Miscavige has taken over Scientology, there have been many other closures and combinings, including St. Hill Foundation. We're not going to define all that. Because Aaron specifically focused on the closing of the Celebrity Center Munich, I wanted to provide a list of celebrity centers around the world from the last edition of What is Scientology? That's a big fat book that Scientology publishes. Okay, so he gives all these celebrity center addresses here: Hollywood, Austria, France, 2 in Germany, Italy, London, 5 in the United States. Okay, from this list, the ones I know have been closed or combined. Paris combined with the Paris org. So CC Paris, Celebrity Center Paris. CC Paris combined with the Paris org. CC Munich combined with the Munich org. CC London combined with the London org. CC Las Vegas combined with the Las Vegas org. Portland, Nashville, Dallas. No new ones opened. No new celebrity centers opened. Some of these others may no longer exist, like Vienna and Florence, but I have no way of confirming. So guys, any of you in Vienna, Austria, or Florence, Italy, help us out. Do a little Google search, maybe drop by the last known location of the Celebrity Center and see if those locations are still there, and shoot me some photos. I would greatly appreciate that. Miscavige has effectively destroyed the Celebrity Center network, much as he has done with the Mission Network. The Mission Network, missions are like small, privately owned Scientology organizations that used to be the source of the vast majority of new people joining Scientology. And Miscavige absolutely decimated and destroyed the entire Mission Network. The org network appears to be surviving because of the real estate investment. In fact, they are every bit as decimated as the other two. Under the brilliant leadership of Mr. Mickiewicz, that's a bit of an inside joke, Scientology is shrinking at a faster rate than at any time in its history, straight down and vertical. Hip, hip, hooray. So, to the outside world, this might just be like, oh boy, some Scientology orgs are closing. That's great news for everybody. And it certainly is great news for everybody. In the internal world of Scientology, this is actually pretty freaking scandalous. And in yesterday's video, I asked for some people who are still in the Scientology bubble, but under the radar, secretly out, but Scientology still thinks that they're in, to let me know what it is they're being told. What's the propaganda they're being fed for why closing down and combining these orgs is the right thing to do? How does this align with command intention? How is this in accordance with LRH policy? And I did hear from one person who is, this person is a former Scientologist. It's Alexander Barnes Ross. I'm going to be doing an interview with him pretty soon on my channel. Alex wasn't involved in Munich or at the Celebrity Center Munich, but he was involved in London when the Celebrity Center in London was closed down and combined with the London org. And I'll just read some excerpts here from the email that he sent me explaining how this was explained to them. He said, at the time, we were told it was happening because the org was ideal and the Celebrity Center was not. So again, that just means that London had a brand new, beautiful building and the Celebrity Center didn't. Okay. Better flag trained staff. So the London org had better flag trained staff. Flag is the giant Scientology organization in Clearwater, Florida. It's the biggest and in some cases the most important Scientology organization in the world. And orgs tend to send their staff there for the best Scientology auditor training in the world. So, okay, they were ideal. CC was not. Better flag trained staff and more resources at the London org. They, the Celebrity Center, operated as a separate org, just like Day and Foundation do, but they work within the same building. That way CC doesn't officially close. That's incredible. So actually, this would be a new spin on it that I haven't even heard before. So that means in the London org, not only do you have a Day org, a Foundation org, but then you have a Celebrity Center org, 3 organizations operating in the same building, pretending to be 3 different organizations when in any normal common sense version of reality, it's just one organization. But because it's against LRH policy to close an organization, instead of just admitting it's closing down, they're like, no, we're just all operating out of the same space. And the last thing I want to do is just to revisit the very black and white L. Ron Hubbard policy of saying it is an act of treason to reduce, combine, or close an org, specifically because a little work and better planning and attention to policy and service has always been able to lift up the stats. So when Alex says that they were told the orgs were combining because one org already had a new building and the other org didn't, it's like, okay, well, with a little bit of work and better planning, you could get new buildings for both orgs. Or when he says the London org had better flag trained staff, you go, okay, with a little bit of work and better planning and attention to policy and service, both orgs could have enough staff and have good flag trained staff. Now, the problem in Scientology really is all of Scientology's problems come down to the fact that there are hardly any Scientologists in the world. And David Miscavige's problem is that he's not allowed to admit to all the Scientologists in the world that this is the source of their problems, because Miscavige has been telling everyone for decades that Scientology has continued to expand exponentially year over year over year. And Miscavige perpetuates this lie because L. Ron Hubbard himself said that statistics rising is literally the only measure of whether management is doing a good job or not. And also that he says statistics don't just go down or stay down, they are actively held down by suppressive persons. So if Miscavige were to admit that Scientology is struggling worldwide because there just aren't hardly any Scientologists, and the number of Scientologists have been gradually decreasing year after year after year, he would essentially be admitting that he himself is the suppressive person that L. Ron Hubbard says is holding stats down internationally. There could be no other interpretation from Scientologists throughout the world if they actually knew Scientology has been in a steady state of decline since the late 80s, early 90s. This is why Miscavige has to keep this charade going. So the real reason London Org and Celebrity Center London couldn't both have enough highly trained staff is because they don't have enough staff to begin with. The reason they don't have enough staff to begin with is because they don't have enough Scientologists in London to recruit staff from. The reason they don't have enough Scientologists in London is because there aren't enough Scientologists in the entire world to adequately staff the roughly 175 to 200 Scientology orgs that exist in the world. And that is one of Miscavige's big, dark, dirty secrets. And because that secret is so incredible, would be so incredibly destructive if Scientologists truly were, confronted it, owned it, believed it, assimilated it. So anyway, that's why it's never a good day to be David Miscavige. And these days, every day, it just gets worse and worse. All right, everybody, that's all I got on this for now. Thank you for watching and listening. Thank you to everybody who watches until the very end, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right here. Bye!